So last Friday, we found out that Kyron Lacy did not cause an accident that led to the death of a 70-something-year-old man. And from that point, you had all the social media outrage, as it should have been, because that young man took his life because he was accused of something that he did not do, and that ultimately led to his demise, not just physically, but had he lived, he would have been wrongfully jailed, potentially, for something that he did not do. His NFL career possibilities gone down the drain. And now we have people reacting to it, right? So Ryan Clark comes out on Monday Night Football and he gives a soliloquy after the show with Scott Van Pelt, where he talked about his fellow Louisiana brother and Kyron Lacy, right? All right, fast forward to yesterday. Ryan Clark is on First Take, and now he is apologizing after investigators in Louisiana claim that because of the way Kyron Lacy operated his vehicle, he was basically, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, he was operating his vehicle in a negligent fashion. Mind you, according to that video, Kyron Lacy was 70-something yards away before that accident even happened. What he did do was what you see in the video. He drove around the accident after it occurred. But then you had people essentially framing it. That's really what it is. So let me get back to my initial point. Okay. So Ryan Clark on First Take apologizes on yesterday morning, and it got me to thinking. I saw people on social media yesterday talking about how they wish he would stop apologizing and stuff like that. So you know what Ryan Clark does? He makes some little subliminal post on Twitter talking about how when the haters talk about him, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. Really, it was BS. But it brings me back to another point that occurred on First Take last week. When they were talking about Shedeur Sanders and his current standing as a quarterback with the Cleveland Browns, Ryan Clark sat on national television last week and told Shedeur Sanders to be a company man. Be a company man. Don't be yourself. Don't have personality. Don't show your personality. You, because of the situation that you're in, you need to be a company man, right? All right. I think we all have enough context clues to know what he means by being a company man, right? So I'm genuinely curious. On Monday night, he did that soliloquy talking about Kyron Lacy and how he was innocent in his unfortunate demise, right? Yesterday, he comes back on First Take. Well, he was on First Take yesterday talking about how basically he apologized for the soliloquy he gave after Monday Night Football on Monday night. So I'm just genuinely wondering, did ESPN make him do that? Or did his good buddy Stephen A put him up to it so he could be a good company man? Because Stephen A is a company man. Stephen A has no problems telling you that when you getting somebody else's money, you need to abide by their rules and stuff like that. Which, if you signing on with someone for a job and a contract, you obviously need to read the contract to know what it is that you can and you cannot do. But there are so many issues with this particular situation. For one, and I'm talking specifically to us, Why do we feel we need to not be ourselves when we're in positions of power or positions to where, yeah, you are getting someone else's money? So there is a certain way that you have to carry yourself and purport yourself, right? But that don't mean you kowtow. That don't mean you kiss the ring, in a sense. Stephen A. kisses the ring. And now Ryan Clark is doing the same thing. And that brings me to another point when I'm talking to us. We as a people are infallible. We all are. Nobody is perfect, right? But there are times where you must stand on business. You can't allow yourself to see what we saw in that video with Kyron Lacey, and we definitively know that Kyron Lacey did not cause that wreck. It doesn't matter what the Louisiana police are trying to do to come back out and essentially say because of how he operated his vehicle, he was, I don't know. I can't speak to specifics, but here's what we do know. We know that he was 70-something yards away from that accident before it occurred. We know that. So we definitively know he did not cause that accident. So for you to get on television Monday night and say one thing, and then for you to get back on television Thursday and apologize for what you said on Monday, that is kissing the ring. That is kowtowing. That is I don't even know how to definitively describe it. But long story short, we got to stop putting people on pedestals because they know how to articulate themselves in a manner in which they are speaking on a subject or an issue, and they can be right. Ryan Clark continues to find himself in interesting situations, and when he's called out for it, he reverts to, oh, somebody's hating on me, somebody's, those type of things. And I'm just, let's just stop putting people on pedestals. How about that? Because Ryan Clark has done enough things and said enough things to this point to where it's kind of hard to figure out where he stands. What he stands for. He is quick to apologize for telling the truth and telling it like it is. And long story short, he's been influenced by Stephen A. Stephen A. is a company man through and through. Through and through. But what Stephen A. is also doing is he is now using his money, his power, and his fame to elevate himself. He's using the ESPN platform to elevate himself into a world that he's not ready for. Nobody gives a damn about Stephen A.'s politics. Everybody knows Stephen A. does not have the depth that he believes he has to discuss politics and potentially even trying to run a country. We all know that's a farce. Nobody wants Stephen A. for president. Nobody wants that. I'm just simply saying and telling us to stop putting people on pedestals when they do not deserve it. Nobody deserves a pedestal, first and foremost. But if you can't speak on injustice and injustice that you saw with your own two eyes, and you can't stand on business for that because you want to be a company man like your buddy Stephen A., we can't trust you, dog. We can't trust you, and we don't believe in you. You have continually shown that you will flip-flop just like your buddy Stephen A. So while Ryan Clark delivers all these soliloquies on the Pivot podcast like he is, someone with a ton of depth, and I'm not saying that he does not have depth, but he does not stand on business and leave it as such. He does not. He is a company man. He wants Shedeur Sanders to be a company man in Cleveland, and Shedeur Sanders is not a company man. He will never be a company man. So for another black man to get on national television and tell a young black man to not be himself, to not be confident in his abilities. And I know if he sees this, he'll say, well, I didn't tell Shedeur Sanders not be confident. You told Shedeur Sanders to be a company man. A company man is essentially walk the straight line, right? Don't have an opinion. Don't be confident in yourself. Don't be confident in your abilities. You're a 5th round pick. You can't be confident as a 5th round pick. That's disgusting. So, you know, everybody wants to share the Pivot podcast, and I'm not saying don't. I personally like the Pivot podcast. I love it, honestly. But there are too many times where Ryan Clark apologizes for standing on business. Which one is it? Which one is it? Either you are or you aren't. Are you a company man, or are you someone who holds other people accountable? You can't get on these shows and pop it when it's convenient. Pop it at all times. Stand on business at all times. That's what I'm looking for. So for those of us who like Ryan Clark's voice and the way that he speaks on issues, you know, he's too flip-floppy for me. What do y'all think? Send my thoughts.